Hello students, welcome back. In this video, let's dwell into the fascinating world of animals, which is the final kingdom in Whittaker's 5-kingdom classification. Over 1 million species of animals have been described till date. Hence, we need a classification system for animals so that we can study them in detail. Let's learn about the common features that scientists follow in the classification of animals. Level of organization, body symmetry, nature of coelom, segmentation, and the presence of a notochord. We know that animals are multicellular organisms. Among them, we can observe 3 levels of organization: cellular level, tissue level, and organ level of organization. In sponges, the cells are arranged as loose cell aggregates. Cells are simply combined together. Some division of labor occurs among the cells. Each type of sponge cell performs specific functions. In them, the cells are not differentiated into tissues. Hence, we can classify sponges under the category of cellular level of organization. Tissue level. Here, the cells that perform the same function are arranged and modified to form tissues. Sea anemones and sea pens are examples of animals that have a tissue level of organization. These animals come under the phylum Coelenterata. Organ level. This is the next higher level where the tissues are grouped together to form organs. This can be seen in lower level organisms like flatworms to higher level organisms like us. Each organ performs a particular function. The flatworms comes under the Phylum Platyhelminthes, comes under this organ level of organization. Animals from earthworms to mammals have organ systems formed by the group of organs that perform specific physiological functions. Next is the body symmetry. You might have learned about symmetry in mathematics, right? Animals also exhibit symmetry. Symmetry means that when an object is divided into 2 halves, both halves are similar and balanced. Organisms are categorized into 3 types based on their symmetry: asymmetrical, radially symmetrical, and bilaterally symmetrical. Asymmetrical animals. Cellular level of organisms mainly show asymmetry. Sponges come under this category. If we draw any plane that passes through the center of the sponges, it will not divide them into equal halves. Hence, we can say that they are asymmetrical animals. They are not showing any symmetry. In radial symmetry, an organism can be divided into equal halves by any plane that passes through its center. Animals come under the phylum Coelenterata, like sea anemone has this kind of symmetry. Similarly, comb jellies coming under the phylum Ctenophora also have the same radial symmetry. Bilateral symmetry, where the body can be divided into 2 mirror images in only one plane. Earthworms and some other creatures belong to the Annelida phylum. Insects and other creatures belong to the Arthropoda phylum. All have bilateral symmetry. Next is the presence of a body cavity or coelom. Coelom is a body cavity present in organisms that is lined by mesoderm cells. Mesoderm is a layer of cells that formed during the development of an embryo. Based on the presence and absence of coelom, animals can be divided into 3: acoelomates, pseudocoelomates, and coelomate animals. Acoelomate animals do not possess a body cavity. This is the body of acoelomate animals. Here the outer layer is ectoderm, inner to that layer is mesoderm, and this brown layer is endoderm, and middle is the gastric cavity. Here we cannot see any body cavity or coelom, hence they are known as acoelomate animals. We can observe these acoelomate animals in Phylum Porifera, Coelenterata, Ctenophora and Platyhelminthes. Pseudocoelomate animals where the coelom or body cavity is not lined by mesoderm cell. This second layer is the mesoderm cell. Here it is this body cavity, this red one is not lined by mesoderm cells. Instead, mesoderm is found scattered in pouches between ectoderm and endoderm. Such kind of body cavity is called pseudocoelom and those animals are called pseudocoelomates. Aschelminthes are examples of pseudocoelomate animals. Next is the coelomates. Animals having a body cavity. This red one is a body cavity. Outer layer is ectoderm. Inner this yellow one is mesoderm and this brown one is the endoderm. This is the body cavity or coelom. Animals that have a body cavity are Annelida, Mollusca, Arthropoda, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. Again, organisms are classified based on the presence of embryonic layers, segments present in the body and presence of a notochord. In the development of an embryo, the first group of cells formed are arranged into 3 layers: ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. Here mesoderm is missing, right? Animals that possess the primary 2 layers, that means outer ectoderm and the inner endoderm, in their embryonic development are called diploblastic organisms. For example, coelenterates. Now let's learn about triploblastic organisms. In some animals in the developing embryo, there are 3 layers of cell. In addition to ectoderm and endoderm, another germinal layer called the mesoderm is present between the 2 layers. Those animals are called triploblastic animals. Examples are Platyhelminthes and chordates. Body segmentation. Animals can be classified on the basis of segmentation. No segmentation, their body is not divided into segments. Example, sponges. Next is metamerism. Body is divided internally and externally into segments. In butterflies, we can see these segments. This can be perfectly seen in earthworms. We know that the body is full of segments in earthworms. Each segment functions together and they act as a single organism. There will be a serial repetition of some organs in these segments. That means organs repeated in each segment. Example, Annelida, Arthropoda and Mollusca. Pseudometamerism. The body is divided into segments, but each segment acts independently, not as a whole organism. Each segment acts independently, and these segments take place in the ectoderm, not in the inner layer. Examples are flatworms. We have already covered embryonic layers, haven't we? Ectoderm, endoderm, and middle mesoderm. Notochord is a rod-like structure made up of the mesodermal cells. This is formed during the development of an embryo. Animals with notochord are called chordates, example mammals, and animals without notochord are called non-chordates, example sponges and echinodermates. We can once again classify organisms at this level as animals exhibit a wide range of complexities in their organ systems. In animals like Platyhelminthes or worms, the digestive system has only one opening that serves as both mouth and anus. This is known as incomplete digestive system. Incomplete digestive system is seen in flatworms. Animals with a complete digestive system has 2 distinct openings, the mouth and the anus. Example, mammals. Similarly, there are differences in complexities in the circular system as well. There are open circular system and closed circular system. Open circular system where blood is pumped out of the heart and cells and tissues are directly bathed in blood. We can observe this kind of circulatory system in lobsters, crabs and octopus comes under the phylum Arthropoda. closed circulatory system where the blood is pumped out of the heart in different vessels like arteries, veins and capillaries. Humans and monkeys, etc. comes under this category. So far, we learned how animals are classified based on their level of organization, their body symmetry, segmentation and the presence of a notochord. Now let's learn about each phylum in detail. Let's learn about the first phylum, Porifera. Members are called sponges. They are marine animals and are fixed to a substratum. They cannot move from one place to another. They are sessile organisms. We have already learned that they have asymmetry. Their bodies do not show any symmetry. They have a cellular level of organization, meaning their cells are not differentiated into tissues. Their body has minute pores on the body wall called the ostia. That is why they are known as porifera or pore-bearing organisms. Sponges have a central cavity called spongocoel, which is different from the coelom in annelids. Spongocoel is lined by choanocytes, where coelom is lined by the mesoderm cells. That is the difference between spongocoel and coelom. Spongocoel is lined by choanocytes and coelom is lined by mesoderm cells. Sponges have another opening in their body called osculum. They have a water transport and canal system. These are the choanocytes lining the canals. These choanocytes have flagella. These are the flagella of the choanocytes. With the rhythmic movement of the flagella of the choanocytes, they generate a continuous water current. Consequently, water infiltrates the organism through the ostia or pores due to this mechanism. Water enters the sponge along with food particles like bacteria and many other tiny food particles. These food particles get trapped by the choanocytes which line the canals, and through phagocytosis, these food particles enters into the cell. There are food vacuoles inside the cell which secrete enzymes to digest the food. This kind of digestion takes place inside the cells is called intracellular digestion. Their body is supported by a skeleton which is made up of spicules or spongin fibers. The waste material along with the water leave the body through the opening on the top called the osculum. Sponges are hermaphrodites, which means they have both male and female sexes in the same individual. Hence, the reproduction is mainly through sexual mode. The male gametes are released into the water. They then enter the tube in the sponge and reach the egg, fertilizing it. After the larvae are formed, they are released into the water. The water current carries these larvae to the new surface where they can grow into a new individual. Asexual reproduction also takes place through fragmentation or budding. A bud detaches from the body and grows as another individual. Phylum Coelenterata or Cnidaria. Sea anemones are example of Coelenterata. They are aquatic, mostly marine, sessile, meaning fixed into one place, or they are free swimming. Their bodies show radial symmetry. They are called cnidarians as they have stinging cells called cnidoblast or cnidocytes. They have stinging cells. These cnidocytes are present on the tentacles of them. These are the tentacles of sea anemone and cnidocytes are present in these tentacles. These cnidocytes contain special cells called nematocysts. These nematocysts shoot the stings. When a prey comes near, the nematocysts shoot out the stings that penetrate the cell wall, allowing them to catch the prey. They have a tissue level of organization. They are diploblastic organisms with embryonic layers, ectoderm and endoderm. They have a gastrovascular cavity with a mouth called hypostome. They carry out extracellular and intracellular digestion. Extracellular digestion happens outside the cell and intracellular digestion means the digestion happens inside the cells. They have two body forms, polyp and medusa. Polyps are attached to a surface with their tentacles facing upwards, while medusae are free-floating form with tentacles pointing downwards like jellyfish. They show alternation of asexual and sexual generations. The asexual generation is represented by the polyp, while the sexual one is embodied by the medusa. The polyp reproduces asexually through budding to give rise to medusa. These medusa are free swimming and eventually detach from the parent polyp. Within the medusa population, there are both male and female individuals. Males produce sperms and females produce eggs. Both are released into water. Fertilization occurs in water, resulting in the formation of a zygote. The zygote becomes a larva. This larva swims to a surface, attaches and grows into a polyp. The cycle continues. This alternation of generation we can observe in Obelia. Phylum Ctenophora, commonly known as sea walnuts or comb jellies. They are marine, body shows radial symmetry and they are diploblastic organisms. They have 8 external rows of comb plates. These are the comb plates, 1, 2, 3, 4 and others in the other side. These comb plates are covered with cilia which help them swim in water. They are bioluminescent in nature. That means they can emit light. When light reflects off their cilia, it creates a stunning rainbow of colors. It is believed that they utilize this color for defensive tactics and communication. It produces bright flashes to startle a predator. Sexes are not separate. Both male and female found in same individual, or we can say they are hermaphrodites. They do not have sting cells like Coelenterata, but they have sticky cells. Tiny organisms stick to the tentacles and the tentacles draw them along with food particles into the big mouth. The mouth has hooks that trap the prey inside. The food will get digested inside the body either by extracellular or intracellular digestion. Reproduction is by sexual method only. As they have both sexes in one organism, they eject eggs and sperms into the water and fertilization takes place. The zygote develops into a larva and further growth happens in water. That is why indirect development. There is a larval form in their growth. That is why it is called indirect development. Phylum Platyhelminthes. They are called flatworms as they have dorso-ventrally flattened body. They are endoparasites, meaning they live inside the tissues or organs of animals, including humans. They are bilaterally symmetrical organisms where the body can be divided into two identical halves only in one plane. They are triploblastic with 3 embryonic layers, ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. They show organ level of organization. They have hooks and suckers in their body. Hooks help to cling to the internal tissues of animals, and with suckers, they can absorb nutrition from the host. Some organisms in Platyhelminthes can absorb the nutrition from the host by their body surface itself. They have a very simple nervous system where the nerves are concentrated in one end, that is the anterior end of the organism. We consider this as a primitive brain. They have an anterior mouth, but anus is absent. The excretory system consists of protonephridia. These are branching canals ending in so-called flame cells. These flame cells are hollow cells with bundles of constantly moving cilia. These flame cells helps in excretion and osmoregulation. They are hermaphrodites and fertilization happens internally. Development of the zygote is through several larval stages. One fascinating aspect regarding certain organisms like planaria is their remarkable ability to regenerate. The process of replacing or restoring damaged or missing cells, tissues, organs, and even the entire body parts. Phylum Aschelminthes. This phylum is also known as Nematoda and the members are called roundworms. They got this name as their body shows circular shape in the cross-section. They may be free-living, aquatic, terrestrial, and parasitic. They have an organ system level of organization. Their body is bilaterally symmetrical. They have 3 embryonic layers, making them triploblastic, and pseudocoelomate animals, which means their body cavity, that is a coelom, is not lined by mesoderm cells. They have an alimentary canal or digestive tract with a well-developed pharynx. An excretory tube is connected to an excretory pore through which waste materials are removed from the body. Excretory pore is present at the tail end. So far, we learned about animals that lack an anus. However, roundworms possess an anus or excretory pore. The digestive tube lies inside the outer body tube. This arrangement is called tube within a tube construction. The digestive tube lies inside the outer body tube. In them, the sexes are separate. That means they have distinctive male and female organisms and hence known as dioecious. The reproduction is mainly by sexual mode. Fertilization happens inside the body of the female. Female produces several eggs a day. Sometimes the eggs are not fertilized and directly grow into an organism through a process called parthenogenesis. The worms developed through parthenogenesis can be male or female. Phylum Annelida. Annelida comes from a Latin name annulus, meaning little ring. They earned this name due to their uniquely marked body surface, which is divided into distinct segments known as metameres. Here we can see the body segments in this leech. Body is divided into numerous segments. These segments are known as metameres. They are aquatic, marine or freshwater, free-living or parasites. They have an organ system level of organization. Their body is bilaterally symmetrical. They have a longitudinal and circular muscles that help in locomotion. Aquatic animals have special kinds of lateral appendages called parapodia that help in swimming. Their circulatory system is closed, which means blood is pumped out of the heart through different types of vessels, including arteries, veins, and capillaries. Nephridium is the excretory organ in Annelida. We just learned that the nephridium is the excretory organ in annelids. Annelids are segmented animals, we know. So, a pair of nephridia is present on each segment. Each nephridium is a long, thin tube that connects the body cavity to the outside. That is why it is known as the excretory organ. The brain of most annelids is relatively simple in structure, with nervous system consists of a paired ganglia that are connected to a dorsal ventral nerve cord. These are a paired ganglia. They are connected to a dorsoventral nerve cord. This is the nerve cord and these are the paired ganglia in annelids. Earthworms and leeches are monoecious animals, meaning they have both male and female reproductive organ in the same individual. There is a difference between hermaphrodite and monoecious. Monoecious means the male and female reproductive organs are present in the same individuals. On the other hand, hermaphrodite animals have both and male-female reproductive organs combined in one animal. Reproduction is sexual. Phylum Arthropoda. This phylum includes all the insects, and this is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom with around 10 million species, accounting for over 80% of all non-living animal species. They have an organ system level of organization. The body is bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, segmented and coelomate animals. They have an exoskeleton made up of chitin. Their body is separated into head, thorax and abdomen. They have joined appendages like legs, wings and mouth parts. These appendages help in their movements. Respiratory organs are gills, book gills or book lungs. Book gills means gills arranged in membranous folds. Each book lung consists of a series of thin plates that are supplied with blood vessels, and they are arranged in relation to one another like the pages in the book. That is why it is known as book lungs. And there is a tracheal system as well. Tracheal system is an elaborate system of small branching tubes that carry oxygen into individual body cells. The circulatory system is open type, where blood is pumped out of the heart and cells and tissues are directly bathed in the blood. Sensory organs like antennae, eyes and statocysts are present. Statocyst helps to balance the body. Excretion takes place through Malpighian tubules. They are dioecious, meaning males and females are separate. Reproduction is sexual. Fertilization happens internally. They are egg-laying or oviparous animals. They include economically important insects like Apis, that is a honeybee, Bombyx, that is a silkworm, Lacifer, that is a lac insect. Some are vectors of some diseases like Anopheles, Culex and Aedes mosquitoes. Gregarious pest is locust. They live in large groups and move together like in swarms. That is why they are known as gregarious pest. Living fossil is Limulus or horseshoe crab. This is known as living fossil because it remained unchanged for over 450 million years, with fossil evidences showing that it has retained its body's structure from ancient times. It means it survived multiple extinctions, including that of dinosaur. Phylum Mollusca. This is the second largest phylum in animal kingdom with around 76,000 recognized species. They can be seen in freshwater and marine and terrestrial habitats. They have an organ system level of organization, bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic and coelomate animals. Their body is covered by a calcareous shell, meaning that shell contains calcium carbonate. Their body is not segmented. They have a head, muscular foot and a visceral hump. The visceral hump is always contained within the shell. This is a visceral hump that covers the pearls, generally holds the bulk of digestive, reproductive, excretory and respiratory system. Covering the visceral hump, there is a soft and spongy layer of skin that forms a mantle around it. Covering the visceral hump, there is a soft layer of skin that is called the mantle. In between the space of this mantle and visceral hump, there is a small cavity that contains the gills. Gills are present between this mantle and the visceral hump. A respiration and excretion happens through the gills. The head is placed on the anterior end and that has the sensory tentacles. Inside their mouth, there is a special structure called the radula, which is a horny ribbon-like organ. This radula may be protruded and it is used in drilling holes in the prey or in rasping food particles from a surface. It is supported by a cartilage-like mass and is covered with rows of many small teeth. This radula is covered with teeth. They have distinct male and female organisms and they are oviparous with indirect development. Indirect development refers to a process in which the newborn organisms differs from the adult form. In this process, the egg undergoes hatching to give rise to a larva, which subsequently undergoes further development to eventually acquire the physical characteristics of its parent. Phylum Echinodermata. Echinodermata are named for the spines or bumps covering the outer surface of the bodies of them. Greek root word echino meaning spiny. Latin root word derm means skin. They have an endoskeleton, meaning the skeleton is present inside the body, which is made up of calcareous ossicles. Ossicles are nothing but small calcareous elements embedded in the dermis, that is the skin of the body wall. All the members are marine with organ system level of organization. Adult members are radially symmetrical, but their larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. So, in their lifetime, they show two types of symmetry, radial symmetry in adults and bilateral symmetry in the larval form. Triploblastic and coelomate animals, the digestive system is complete with a mouth and an anus. The excretory system is absent. Waste ammonia is removed from the body through simple diffusion. Sexes are separate and reproduction is by sexual mode. Fertilization happens externally and the development includes a larval form, that is the indirect development. They have a unique water vascular system. Let me explain how it works. There is a madreporite. This is the madreporite or sieve plate which is usually located externally. This madreporite takes in water from outside of the body and the water or fluid passes through the madreporite to a ring vessel. This blue one is the ring vessel. And from this ring vessel, water enters the 5 radial canals. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These are the radial canals. Through madreporite and ring vessel, it reaches the radial canals. Then to the tube feet. These are the tube feet. The water is restored in the small bulbs at the top of the tube feet. When the bulb contracts, it pushes the water into the tube feet, which causes it to extend. Then this tube feet will swing in the direction where the starfish wanted to move. The water vascular system helps them to capture the prey. For example, when a starfish finds its prey, mainly the mollusk, it will mount on the mollusk. With the help of its water vascular system, it pushes the stomach outside, releasing digestive enzymes that will digest the prey alive. Then the stomach will return to its natural position once the food gets digested. This water vascular system helps in respiration as well. Phylum Hemichordata. Balanoglossus is an example of hemichordate. Earlier, it was considered as a semi-phylum under Chordata, but now it is a separate phylum. It has an anterior proboscis. This is the proboscis, which is the excretory organ in Hemichordata. It has cilia and helps in locomotion and in the collection and transport of food particles. Below proboscis is the mouth. This is the mouth. And below that is a collar. They have a rudimentary structure, meaning not fully developed structure in the collar region called the stomochord. This is the stomochord which resembles the notochord. It provides support to the body. It has sensory structures as well. Below the collar is the long trunk which has gill slits for respiration. Respiration is through gill slits. The members are worm-like animals and they have organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical triploblastic and coelomate animals. Circulatory system is open, the sexes are separate, fertilization is external and development is indirect with the larval form. Phylum Chordata. They are chordates due to the presence of notochord and a dorsal hollow nerve cord and a pair of pharyngeal gill slits. In humans, notochord develops into the discs between the vertebrae and this dorsal hollow nerve cord that develops into the brain and nervous system. Paired pharyngeal gill slits are also present in chordates. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic and coelomate with an organ system level of organization. They possess a post-anal tail. The post-anal tail is a posterior elongation of the body extending beyond the anus. The tail contains skeletal elements and muscles which provide a source of locomotion in aquatic species. In some terrestrial vertebrates, the tail also helps with balance, courting and signaling when danger is near. Circulatory system is closed in chordates. Phylum Chordata is divided into three subphyla: Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Urochordata and Cephalochordata are often referred to as protochordates as they are the primitive forms of chordates. In Urochordata, the notochord is present only in the tail of the larva. However, in Cephalochordata, the notochord extends from head to tail and is present throughout the lifetime. Examples of Urochordata are Ascidia and Salpa. An example of Cephalochordata is Branchylostoma, that is known as the lancelet. Vertebrates possess the notochord during the embryonic period. However, in adults, this notochord is replaced by vertebral column. Vertebrates have a heart with 2, 3 or 4 chambers. Kidney are there for excretion and osmoregulation and have a paired appendages which are fins or limbs. There are 7 classes in vertebrates: Cyclostomata, Chondrichthyes, Osteichthyes, Amphibians, Reptilians, Aves and mammals. Starting with the class Cyclostomata. They are ectoparasites on fishes. They are temporarily blood-sucking. They have an elongated body and a circular mouth without jaws and with suckers. Hence the name Cyclostomata. They have a pair of gill slits for respiration. Their body doesn't have scales and has paired fins. Here you can see these are the fins. They have cartilaginous cranium and vertebral column. Closed circulatory system is present. They are marine forms but they migrate to fresh water to release eggs or spawning. This provided the suitable condition for the eggs to hatch. After hatching, they only survive for a few days before dying. Their larvae, after metamorphosis, migrate to marine environments again. Class Chondrichthyes. They are marine animals. They have a streamlined body and have a cartilaginous endoskeleton. Mouth is located on the ventral side. This is the ventral side and mouth will be here. Notochord is present throughout the life. The gills of fishes are generally supported by a series of gill arches enclosed within a chamber formed of bony plates. This covering is called operculum. In fishes, the gills are inside a chamber called the operculum, but this operculum is absent in Chondrichthyes. The skin is tough with minute placoid scales. These placoid scales are modified to form teeth and they are backwardly directed. These are the placoid scales. They have jaws and are very strong. They hunt and kill other animals for food, or otherwise we can say they are predaceous. They do not have an air bladder. That is a problem. Hence, they have to swim continuously, otherwise they will sink. Heart is two-chambered with one auricle and one ventricle. Some of them have electrical organs as in torpedo and others have poison sting as in trigon. They are poikilothermous animals, a creature whose internal temperature changes greatly with changes in the external environment is called poikilothermous animals. They cannot regulate their body temperature. Their body temperature will be similar to the temperature outside. They are also known as cold-blooded animals. The sexes are separate. In males, the claspers are present in the pelvic fin. They have internal fertilization and most of them are viviparous. Osteichthyes. They are marine and freshwater fishes. They have bony endoskeleton. Their body is streamlined as in Chondrichthyes. They have 4 pairs of gills which are covered by an operculum on each side. We know that in Chondrichthyes operculum is absent, but in Osteichthyes operculum is present. Skin is covered with cycloid or ctenoid scales. They have spines or comb-like teeth along their free edges. Air bladder is present that helps in buoyancy in water. Heart is two-chambered with one auricle and one ventricle. They are also poikilothermous animals. The sexes are separate. Fertilization is external, unlike Chondrichthyes, where fertilization is internal. They are oviparous and their development is direct without a larval form. Amphibians. They are aquatic as well as terrestrial. Most of them have 2 pairs of limbs, fore and hind limbs. Body is divided into head and trunk. Their skin is moist and have no scales. Their eyes have eyelids. A tympanum is present representing the ear. Their digestive tract, urinary tract and reproductive tract opens into a common chamber called cloaca that opens to the exterior. They can respire through gills, lungs and also through the surface of the skin. Heart is 3-chambered with 2 auricles and 1 ventricle. They are cold-blooded or poikilothermous animals and the sexes are separate. They are oviparous animals with indirect development. That means their development involves a larval form. Reptilia. Their movement is either crawling or creeping. They are mostly terrestrial. However, some live in water like turtles. And their body is covered by dry cornified skin. It means the layer of epidermis is strengthened by beta keratin and alpha keratin proteins. That is why they have a cornified and dry skin. They have scales and scutes on the skin. They do not have ear openings. Tympanum represents the ear. If limbs are present, they are fore and hind limbs. Heart is 3-chambered, but in crocodiles, heart is 4-chambered. They are poikilothermous animals. Snakes and lizards shed their skin to remove parasites or damage that affect their skin's outer layer. Sexes are separate and the fertilization is internal. Oviparous animals and the development is direct without a larval form. Aves. They have feathers and most of them can fly except like ostriches. They have beaks and their forelimbs are developed as wings. Hind limbs generally have scales and are modified for walking, swimming, clasping according to the environment in which they live. They have an oil gland at the base of the tail. They have a bony endoskeleton and the long bones are hollow with air cavities which help them to fly. That makes them light-weighted. In many birds, the expanded region of esophagus form a thin-walled crop, which is the bird's principal organ for the temporary storage of foods. Some birds use the crop to carry food to their young ones. And gizzard is present. Gizzard aids in digestion. Heart is 4-chambered with 2 auricles and 2 ventricles. They are homoeothermous or warm-blooded animals. They are able to maintain their body temperature regardless of the environment's temperature. Respiration is by lungs. Sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. They are oviparous animals and development is direct. The final class is Mammalia, mammals. They are found in almost everywhere in nature. Some can fly, some can live in water as well. Unique feature is the presence of mammary glands by which they feed their young ones. Two pairs of limbs are present and are adapted for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming and flying. Skin possesses hairs that helps to regulate the body temperature. External ears called pinnae are present. Different types of teeth are present on the jaws. Heart is four-chambered with two auricles and two ventricles. They are warm-blooded animals and respiration is by lungs. Sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. They are viviparous animals and the development is mostly direct. That's it about the chapter Animal Kingdom. If you like this video, please share it with your friends. If you have any queries, put it in the comment box. Thank you.